The person who builds the entire catastrophe before lunch from a single unanswered message is not anxious. They are strategic. They have learned that if they live the ending in advance, it cannot ambush them. The pain is already paid, the blow already landed. So when the actual moment comes, they are standing in a room they have already burned to the ground. They feel nothing. They are ready. But here is what the strategy does not account for. The bill for rehearsing every loss is paid in full, in advance, for endings that never happen. They survive 100 deaths and call it preparation. They feel the grief of every imagined betrayal, every silent treatment that never came, every goodbye that was never spoken. And when the real loss finally arrives, they have nothing left. The capacity to feel it was spent on ghosts. You are thinking this is a necessary defense. That thought is the cost of the ticket. You are paying it now. The mind built to never be blindsided pays the price of the blind side again and again, for nothing. The only thing it cannot prepare for is the catastrophe that never happens, that one leaves no scar, and so you must invent a new one tomorrow, to feel safe. This pattern does not begin in adulthood. It begins in a childhood, where the actual catastrophes were unpredictable, and the child had no power to stop them. A parent who disappears for hours and returns as if nothing happened. A punishment that arrives without warning, disconnected from any behavior the child can identify. The child learns that safety is not a condition, but a performance. If they can imagine what comes next, they can brace for it. If they can brace for it, they can survive it. The imagining becomes the only tool they have. The evolutionary mechanism underneath is simple. The organism that anticipates threat survives longer than the one that waits to confirm it. A rustle in the grass might be wind, or might be a predator. The one who treats it as a predator every time lives to reproduce. But this mechanism was built for an environment where threats were intermittent and recovery was possible. It was not built for a mind that can generate infinite threats while sitting in a safe room, alone, at 3 in the morning. The alarm system still fires. The body still prepares for death. There is no predator. There is only the body, preparing, again and again, for nothing. You thought of someone else just now. That is the protection working. What this looks like in practice is not dramatic. It is invisible. The person writes an email to a colleague explaining why a project failed, a conversation that has not happened, a failure that has not occurred. They write it in their head while showering. They refine the wording. They feel the shame of the confrontation, as if it already occurred. Then the project succeeds. The email was never needed, but the shame was felt. It was deposited in the body as real. The account is lower than it was. In relationships, the pattern takes a specific shape. The partner does not answer a text for 2 hours. The mind begins its work. By hour 3, the entire arc is complete. The partner has met someone else. The conversation has already happened. The tears already shed. The apartment already divided. The person rehearses their dignity, their pain, their eventual recovery. They feel the loneliness of sleeping alone in a bed they still share. Then the partner answers. They were in a meeting. Nothing happened. But the loneliness was felt. The grief was paid. The body does not know the difference between rehearsal and event. It only knows it has grieved again for nothing. At work, the intelligent person's version is more elaborate. They do not call it anxiety. They call it scenario planning. They build decks for conversations that will not occur. They prepare for the rejection of proposals that are accepted without comment. They have a response ready for the criticism that never comes. Their preparation is indistinguishable from their paralysis. They are so ready for the attack that they cannot move forward without mapping every angle of assault. The work slows. The opportunity passes. They call it thoroughness. The high achiever dresses it in ambition. They rehearse the fall from grace because they cannot tolerate the possibility of surprise. Every success is followed by the immediate imagining of its reversal. The award is already contested in their mind. The promotion is already rescinded. They feel the humiliation of the reversal before the reversal occurs, which means they never fully feel the success. The success is always provisional, always already undermined by the rehearsal of its end. They are celebrated and already grieving the celebration. Their trophies gather dust in rooms they have already imagined empty. Then there is the person who has read about this pattern. They know the vocabulary. They say they are triggered. They say they are activated. They say they are doing the work. The vocabulary has given them a way to observe themselves without changing. They can name the mechanism as it operates, which feels like mastery. It is not mastery. It is the mechanism incorporating its own description into its defense. They say, I know I am catastrophizing, and continue to catastrophize, now with self-awareness. The self-awareness becomes part of the strategy. They are not better. They are more articulate about why they are not better. I do not have this pattern. I have only watched it. What I find remarkable is not how often it fails people. It is how reliably it protects them from finding out. The cost is not the obvious one. Everyone knows it is exhausting to worry. The hidden cost is the relationship between the person and their own experience. They become someone who has felt everything and lived nothing. They have rehearsed the grief of their parent's death 1,000 times. When the parent actually dies, they are already finished with grief. They stand at the funeral feeling nothing and believe this is strength. It is not strength. It is bankruptcy. They spent the feeling in advance and now have nothing to spend on the real. The identity cost accumulates slowly. They believe themselves to be sensitive, deep, emotionally aware. They are not. They are someone who has substituted imagination for presence. The depth they credit themselves with is the depth of a rehearsal, not a life. They have felt the shadow of every experience and missed the experience itself. They are a library of scripts for plays that never opened. The relationship cost is the distance they do not notice they are creating. The partner who was never given the chance to disappoint them, because the disappointment was already complete before the opportunity arose. The friend who never knew why the friendship cooled, because the ending was rehearsed in solitude and executed without explanation. The person becomes someone who leaves before they can be left, who withholds before they can be withheld from, who protects others from betrayals that exist only in their own mind. The protection is the damage. There is a moment, usually late, when they understand. It is not a revelation. It is a slow accumulation of evidence they can no longer ignore. They have survived everything and lived through nothing. They are safe and empty. The catastrophes they prepared for never came. The life they could have lived while preparing went unlived. They see it. The seeing does not change it. Awareness rarely dissolves the pattern. The pattern has survived because it is self-protecting. The person who becomes aware of their catastrophizing begins to catastrophize about their catastrophizing. They imagine a future where they are still doing this, still trapped, still empty. They have found a new catastrophe to rehearse. The mechanism absorbs its own critique. The only exceptions I have observed are people who experience a failure so complete that rehearsal could not have prevented it. The actual blindside is the thing they could not imagine arrives. The system breaks. Something else becomes possible. These people are rare. Most will rehearse until the end, paying interest on debts they will never owe, feeling safe in an account that is already empty. You are paying it now. You will pay it again tomorrow. The only catastrophe you cannot prepare for is the one that never happens. That is the one you are preparing for. That is the one that keeps you here.